Yes, Honorable agrees.
I move for the suspension of our rules to allow our guests to join us.
In the objection, having none, rules are suspended. Would like to welcome the resource persons. See from here, Minsan Indipana, City Government Department and one, City HRMO Office, City Human Resource Management Office.
And Mr. Chair,
Yes, Honorable agrees.
we have also invited Director Teresita to the of the Civil Service Commission. However, I was informed by the secretary that she will not be again be able to join and attend this question or the chair. May we request the secretary and the chair to read it to the records communication now.
Yes, I'm now directing our secretary to please read for record purposes the response of Director Teresita Antolin, Director 2, Civil Service Commission, Region 12.
Address to all people in Coordinator, Koronadal, there is this will ensure that COVID-19 estimate presence or to a question order to be held on the scheduled regular session next day, January 6th, 1 p.m. at the SB session hall, Court First Municipal Hall. The question order will focus on the purpose of Mr. Government as City Government Department Head 1 Police Officer, SB 25 of the City of Koronadal issued on November 1st. Said appointment was received on Please be informed that since January 7, 2021, they have been attending series of online courses on program to institutionalize advocacy and excellence in human resource management. Hence, it is with regret that again we can't apply invitation because we have a scheduled capacity building for CSC assessors and assistors of the program on January 25 or January 26 to 28, 2021. Field directors are required to attend pursuant to CSC HRTSO memo number 725 series of 2021. Nonetheless, we decided CSC or PBM and PBM policies and other information in our tax letters. I trust your leadership and SANGGUNIANG's competence, power to resolve any issues and institute corrective action on the creation of the CTCAO and the City Government Department Head 1 Police Officer, where Mr. Batilaran was appointed to. Maraming salamat po.
So, what we heard that?
Yes, okay. As much as we wanted to hear from our civil service director, so that all our questions are answered. But unfortunately, she will not be able to join us. However, this afternoon we have with us our HRMO, our Human Resource Management Officer. For the record, MP Telebanan is around probably to answer also some of the questions of the SANGGUNIANG.
Mr. Chairman, before that,
Yes, Honorable Hurtado.
I also would like to correct that the reason why we have invited we are hoping that the Director 2, the Director Antolin would grace us. It is because of the letter that they sent to us. Nonetheless, we accept the explanations given, but I still really look forward. Hopefully, in one of these days, Director Antolin will give us for better understanding of several concerns pertaining to this specific matter.
And thank you also for the presence of Ma'am Hazel Libanan for the third time this afternoon.
So, you have any motion for that? Inviting again Attorney in the next session or some other time if she is free.
As of the moment, Mr. Chairman, I would listen to the discussion and see if there is still a need to invite in the future. For now, may we hear or probably direct first our attention to the resource person present this afternoon.
Yes, whatever it is.
So that we can go straight to probably get information that will help us and guide us. Now, just for the record, Mr. Chair, the SANGGUNIANG PANLUNGSOD promulgated, passed and approved the ordinance creating the position of the City Tourism and Cultural Affairs Officer last October 6, 2020. And Mr. Patilara, because of that creation of position was appointed. May I ask Ma'am Hazel Libanan, when was Elric Patilara was appointed?
To our presiding officer, of course, to all the members of the legislative body, a pleasant afternoon, and to each and everyone who are here. The appointment of Mr. Elric Patilaran as City Government Department Head 1 Tourism Officer was signed last November 23. November 23.
So October 6, the ordinance was passed and approved. And November 23, he was appointed to the position. And the SANGGUNIANG PANLUNGSOD was able to formally concur the appointment of Mr. Patilaran when?
December 17, we received the approved concurrence from this.
December 17. And what I'm trying to say here, Mr. Chair, is the appointment of Mr. Elric Patilaran actually undergo the process.
Yes.
Regular process of appointment. He was appointed and he was concurred by the SANGGUNIANG PANLUNGSOD, which means to say he is duly appointed and he is now acting as the City Tourism and Cultural Affairs Officer. So question, what is the next step? Are we going to submit the appointment of Mr. Elric Patilaran to the CSC for what purpose?
Actually, we already submitted for the information. We already submitted the appointment of Mr. Elric Patilaran to the Office of the Civil Service. So it's now in the Office of the Civil Service.
What is the role of the civil service?
The Civil Service will now review the appointment of Mr. Elric Patilaran, whether or not we were able to comply with the process of the appointment.
Is there a regulatory period for which the civil service will have to act?
Based on it, we have 30 days. 30 days. Within 30 days, an appointment has to be acted upon.
And what will be supposedly the action of the civil service?
For now, the action of the civil service is that, as I've said, the appointment of Mr. Elric Patilaran is there, and it was not yet approved because the civil service director is asking us for the approved organizational structure by virtue of an ordinance.
If I may rephrase, Mr. Chair, the civil service will have to act on this submitted appointment.
Yes,
Now,
correct.
if they have take for example, if the submission of the appointment and all the attached documents is not satisfactory to the eyes of the civil service, what will happen to the appointment?
If that is the case, in my own personal view, the appointment is being endorsed to the civil service for attestation, sir. So they have the power to approve or disapprove our appointment.
That's approved or
Yes, approve or disapprove or invalidate, something like that. Approve or disapprove. But as
if the document or the appointment that is not satisfactory, they have the power to disapprove or invalidate the appointment.
I personally, that's my answer. That's how I look at it.
That is why, Mr. Chair, we need wanted clearance from the civil service. No? Kaya gusto natin ipitahan siya to educate us also because I'm not really aware, I'm not really familiar with the function of the civil service. With the answer of our HRMO, meeting siya certain. No? Gusto ko rin kasi malaman ano ba ang role talaga ng civil service appointment. Because ang aking tingin is, the appointment of Mr. Elvin Patiralan has undergone regular process. And now, it is as if we are adding up a layer. Hindi pala yung final approval yung sa level ng local government. Now, it will seem to appear that hindi pala final yung process na dito. It will have whatever the final process na dito. If it is satisfactory on their eyes, pwede nilang i-disallow o i-invalidate yung appointment.
Yes, sir. Kasi as
The question on Hazel, what is now the status of Sir Elvin Patilaran?
actually, the appointment, as I've said, the appointment of Sir Patilaran is in the hands of the civil service. In so far as the issuance of the appointment is concerned, there is no problem to that.
Yes.
It's just that the civil service is asking for a requirement, and that is the approved organizational structure by virtue of an ordinance. But the appointment per se, wala pong problema.
Of course, that leads me to another question. For how long can the civil service wait for us to comply satisfactorily to their requirements?
Actually, to be honest enough, when I made a follow-up with the Civil Service Commission, I was also asking the good director if she can extend her decision as to the approval of the appointment pending the requirements that she wants us to comply as stated on the letter that we received. And the good director also was telling us that she is very much willing to help us about it. So most probably, she can extend. That's how I read the statements of the good director.
So, okay lang medyo kasi sa letter niya, we are given 5 days.
Yes, actually, sa first letter niya, sir, she is asking for us to comply the organizational structure within 5 days. However, when I made honest representation over the appointment of Mr. Patilaran and asking what probably can she help us for the approval of the said appointment, I asked her if, ma'am, if in the event we can comply with what you are asking for, can you stretch the number of days that you are asking from us? So she was also very affirmative and said, I am willing to help.
Okay, that's good to hear. No, hindi naman period si director.
No, hindi siya period.
Okay. Ang question is, ganito kasi nangyari. It would seem unusual on the part of the Sangguniang PANLUNGSOD of what happened. No? Kasi this is not the first time that we have created a position or a department. No? Attached to it is the position of a department head. This is not the first time. We have created again and again, I'm saying this for the record, we have created the position of this cooperative development officer. We have also created the position of CIDO. We have also created the position of city architect. Ang CIDO siguro merong attached na support staff, pero yung cooperative development officer at saka city architect, walang attached yan. And we have not heard from the civil service of anything that na kailangan pa ng organizational structure to support the creation and the appointment of a department head. Wala namang problema tayo dyan previously. Now, dito lang, sa appointment ni Mr. Elvin Patilaran as the City Tourism Officer, nagkaroon ng problema and the food director is citing a law, in particular, the Department of Budget Management Manual on Position Classification and Compensation, which was issued last 2012. And it says here, among others, that the classification of the head of new officers shall be dependent on the level of the organization structure of the new office. Which means to say, pag-idapt natin doon sa phrase na yan, sa sentence na yan, kailangan ng organizational structure para ma-justify natin yung position ng department head. Yun ang pagkakaintindi ko, no? And this this Department of Budget and Management circular is not new. Matagal na ito. And I'm just curious why the Sangguniang Panlunsod is not appraised with this procedure while we have been actually creating department head positions previously.
Thank you for that, sir. No, for the information of all, yes, it's true that we were able to create other departments before, and it was approved by the Civil Service Commission. To mention, like for example, the City Economic Enterprise and Development Office. It was approved because we already have the existing structure, because we have the slaughterhouse that's under the office of the city for now, the office of the market. So existing na po yung structure nila, so that is why it was approved. And in the case of the city, sa case ni Sir Enrique Patilaran, I myself was not even expecting that there is a need for us to have an approved organizational structure by virtue of an ordinance, because we already have a precedence, and ang concrete na example natin noon is no less than the city architect. The city architect is so yun na, sir. So when I just would like to give you an information that when I made a follow-up with the appointment of Sir Enrique Patilaran, I was also surprised, and I was not expecting that an organizational structure to that effect must also be approved based on approved by virtue of an ordinance. I was not even expecting.
Mr. Chair, if I may cut, no, I'm sorry, Ma'am Hazel, but we should clear things, no, and put everything in proper perspective. You are not expecting that there will be issues with regards to the appointment of Mr. Patilaran. That they will be requiring us to submit an organizational structure. But I'm just worried, no, and curious to the letter of Director Teresita Antolin. Now, on her letter of January 14, 2021, she mentioned here, no, on the third paragraph. Nonetheless, please be informed that prior to the issuance of appointment of Mr. Enrique Patilaran, we have relayed to the City Human Resource and Management Office that the creation of the office of the department, together with the support staff, should be made through a city ordinance as required by the local government code. Now, it will appear here that the civil service has already appraised you.
So in that case, sir, this is the case. When we submitted prior to the issuance of the appointment, we submitted the approved ordinance for the creation of the position of Mr. Enrique Patilaran, since this will be the basis for our publication. When we submitted this to the Civil Service Commission, she asked me if there is an organizational structure, which I answered positively. I told her there is an organizational structure. So yun lang naman. So we proceeded with the preparation of the appointment, because the appointee or Mr. Enrique Patilaran is really qualified for the position. So we meet all the requirements for the position, and we go through the process. So when we already submitted the approved appointment of Mr. Enrique Patilaran, duly conferred by this august body to the Civil Service Commission, dated December 21. On the 28th day of December, the good director again asked me if there is an organizational structure. So with me and myself went to the Civil Service to give the organizational structure. And then she told that I will just wrote an official communication addressed to your office about it. So we made that. And that was only last January 5. that we received the letter citing among others that what the director is needing is the approved organizational structure by virtue of an ordinance. So that was also surprised me because I was not expecting na dapat gali, it should be incorporated into sa ordinance na dapat approved organizational structure.
So, you have been communicating with the civil service,
Yes.
and she was able actually to communicate to you na kailangan yung organizational
Yes, sir.
structure.
Oo.
And you answered positively that there
Yes.
is an organizational structure. On what basis you answered positively?
Because we already have the existing structure at the tourism office.
There is.
So, yes, we have the existing
But-
structure. It's just that what she needs pala is an approved organizational structure na incorporate doon
So-
sa ating ordinance.
Where is the structure of the tourism office?
Actually, sa letter niya, we also furnish her a copy of the structure. I have here the structure.
Yes, I have here a copy, Mr. Chair, of a proposed position chart, City Tourism and Cultural Affairs Office. The problem is, it is a proposed position chart.
Oo.
It was signed by the mayor, Mayor Opena, approved by Mayor Opena, but it's mentioned, the title here is proposed positional chart. This is what you are referring to as the organizational structure.
Yes, sir. Yes.
That is the reason why you answered positively to Director Antolin that there is an
Yes.
organizational
And
structure.
actually, she saw this one, this
But
document.
did you realize that this is not yet an approved organizational structure?
This is the proposed structure. However, sir, may additional na yun that, sir, existing na yan, pero ang mga division niya.
Yes.
So, may mga amendments lang tayo. So, the structure per se is built in, andyan na talaga yan, sir. May mga amendments
But
lang
when
because we
we-
wanted a proposed organizational structure.
When we say approved organizational structure, what, on your own understanding, Madam Mason, what do you mean by that? Who is going to approve it?
I mean, the organizational structure that we have under the City Tourism Office is already there.
Yes.
It's already there. So that's what I mean. Andyan na siya. And why is it that we are being asked for the approved organizational structure? So yun ang ginamit ko dyan, sir. Kung sinabi natin na propose yan, yes, because we are on the process of proposing for a structure under tourism office para it would meet the needs of the
Yes,
department.
yes. This is a proposed, in product of your
May additional
consultation and meetings of your office to the different offices.
Yes, sir.
Diba? And it was signed by the mayor, approved, but still you recognize that this is still a proposed position chart. This will be approved supposedly.
Yes,
Who is
that's
going to-
what
Who is going to approve this?
the director is asking us that said organizational
No, before
structure should
the
be approved.
information from the civil service director, who do you think is going to approve this organizational?
We do not have
structure?
any conversation with the director as to who will approve. It's only that when the director sent us the letter, stating in the letter na dapat gali, sir, it should be approved by virtue of an ordinance. Kasi we have the precedency.
Now, you've been doing this actually for several years already.
Yes.
Meeting with the different offices,
Yes.
supposedly to have an organizational structure and staffing patterns of every offices. May product na kayo, na-present nyo na kay Mayor, na-aprobahan na ni Mayor. But don't you think that it needs to pass through the SANGGUNIANG PANLUNGSOD before ma-consider natin na official documents ito? I'm not only talking about the city tourism, I'm talking about all the other offices na mayroon na kayong staffing pattern na na-produce.
Actually, sir, when we received the communication of Director Antolin, kasi County Management din kami, when she was asking for the organizational structure of the said office, we answered na it's now on the process of, we submitted the said organizational structure, particularly that of the tourism office to the office of the legislative body.
But I'm really sorry, Mr. Chair. What was submitted to the SANGGUNIANG PANLUNGSOD is the proposed creation of positions, not the organizational structure.
No, sir, it was included as part of our reference.
Read, but to me, Mr. Chair, the first thing that that the HR would do is, that is why you have to come up with an organizational structure and staffing pattern for all offices in the city government organization. When you come up with that, then you will have to let the executive endorse it.
Correct.
So the Sangguniang Panlunsod for approval,
Yes.
dapat dito ang approval. Tama si Director Antolin na dapat approve yung organizational structure. Matagal nyo na ginagawa ito, pero ba't hindi pa dumating sa amin itong organizational structure, proposed organizational structure? Because what you have submitted to the Sangguniang Panlunsod last year is the priority position for creation.
Yes, sir.
But before we can discuss and act on the priority position for creation, there should be an organizational structure that should be approved by the
Yes.
Sangguniang Panlunsod first, because that will be the blueprint. From the structure that we will approve, doon tayo kukuha ng mga priority positions to be created
Yes.
and later on to be filled up.
You're right, sir. Actually, we already have the organizational structure, and last week, sana ma'am, no, we will be due for the review of said structure and with the members of our committee. However, nagka-conflict lang ang ating schedule. So, one of the reference po natin yung structure yan, sir. And another, excuse me, sir, and another is that yung ginabalik ko lang, sir, kasi we have a precedence for that day. I was not really expecting na dapat ang organizational structure should be approved by virtue of an ordinance, because in the case of sa city architect office natin before, sir, wala man na siya.
Yes.
It's not being asked. So parang ako, honestly, I was not really expecting na
But
we
it will,
approve it siya, but we have the structure.
it will appear that Director Antolin is correct, that before any creation of position, there should be a basis, now, which is actually the organizational structure and staffing pattern, which is duly approved. Dapat yun muna ang unahin natin. Diba? Hindi lang dapat in reference or basis, kundi dapat aprubahan muna ang organizational structure and staffing pattern of the city government before we go to the positions to be created. Now, in the case of Mr. Kelvin Patiraran, we have already created the office. Now, we have already created the office. Now, what we are going to do now is for us to approve the organizational structure and staffing pattern of the City Tourism Office. Kasi kung babalikan natin yung buong structure ng city government, it will take time. Now, what is the organizational structure and staffing pattern that you are going to let us approve under the City Tourism Office?
The organizational structure and staffing pattern that we would like to be approved by this body is no less than the one that we prepared yung sa propose na nila, sir.
This one,
Yes, sir.
I'm holding here, Mr. Chair, at least 20 personnel under the City Tourism Office.
Mr. Chairman, may I be given a copy of that structure for me to look at? And after the good councilor read this, I would like to ask the next question.
Yes, well, I'm yielding, Mr. Chair, to the Honorable Hurtado.
Good afternoon, Madam Isabel. I am just listening intently to the series of questions by the Honorable Abris. Some of those are questions that I would like to ask, but he already asked it, so I will go to some remaining questions that I have in mind. Based from what you have said earlier, that you were not aware that you will be required to come up or submit an approved structure. For what reason?
I was not expecting that there must be an approved structure by virtue of an ordinance, because my reference during the time was one of our department. Like during its creation, hindi man
So I'm saying, Madam Isa, that this requirement came about already by 2020, or is the required structure is already in existence for since 1992, if I'm not mistaken.
The structure of the tourism unit.
No. The requirement to submit a structure is already required by the Civil Service Commission since 1992.
I'm not aware, ma'am. Because as I've said, na-create ang City Architect's Office natin, ma'am. Doon magpapatanda na there was a submission of the organizational structure. But anyway, yun siya, ma'am. Case lang nato ng even when I asked the director about it, ang ginambal niya lang sa akin is the organizational structure.
But you are aware that for any approval of a structure, it has to pass through this August study.
As to the approval, ma'am, hindi ko aware kay paagin siya sa SP. Only the creation of the position. Only the creation of the position.
So, this is not undermining your capability as our HR executive or Madam Pinsan, but I cannot help but ask, because the existing requirement is already there since 1992, and yet you only found this out
Actually,
this 2020.
Actually, ma'am, during that time, with due respect, I was not the then HR during that time of the creation of the same position. And then we also have created a lot of mga departments. So, okay, man. That because we already have the existing structure. Kaya okay siya. So, sa case ni Santo ng as a tourism office, I was reminded we have the existing structure. Actually, pinag-function na siya gani. It's just that the structure lang, ma'am, pinag-gani. Wala siya nakapas to approval din sa atin sa Sangguniang, expecting that it must only be the position that has to be approved in the existing structure.
Okay, so we mentioned earlier that under this proposed position chart of the City Tourism Cultural Affairs, these are the proposed position chart, but if I may borrow your words, there are already existing divisions.
Yes, ma'am. Ang unang may mga existing na sila din ang mga
Yes,
section.
the existing divisions or section does not tantamount as the filling up of structure already.
Hindi sila din tantamount as to filling up the structure sa akong pagkaintindi, mama. Pero yun nga na, binabanin ko nga, hindi niya ipatulong sa akin. Kaya gusto niya ang approval ng structure by virtue of ano.
Another question, Madam Mason, are you aware that before the approval of the ordinance, ibalik din natin, binalik pa namin for second reading because there is a need to correct the nomenclature. You informed me as a chairman on tourism of such need just to revise. How come I was not informed that you also require an approved structure? You only told me that the name should be changed. When I was already at the position defending it on the plenary, but I was not informed. When you informed me of the requirement of the correct nomenclature, I automatically acted. But I was not given the privilege to know that there is another requirement, which is an approved structure. This could have been avoided if the information was given to me at that time.
Yes, that's true, Councilor. Because during that time, when I made proper representation, I was not also expecting na dapat ang structure para siya nga i-approve sa aton nga SP. I only knew about it, to be exact, sa ito naghatag na si ma'am in writing na ang approved structure with ang iya pinapangayo.
By approved structure this proposed one that you have submitted?
Yes, ma'am. Ay, may araw ng tagadaan nila sa existing ng structure and revise ka na nga for the subject proposal.
For the record, Madam Hazel, are you saying that because you already have a proposed position, sir, the SANGGUNIANG will just adapt?
No, ma'am. That is why in-submit na yan ako direct for subject for review sa SANGGUNIANG.
So it would also mean, Madam Hazel, that should the SANGGUNIANG come up with a different substructure, the one we feel comfortable with, that would also suffice the requirement?
Because I believe naman, ma'am, that the SP can also create and come up with a staffing pattern. Kaya nga, ang mga proposal namin is being passed to the SP for possible review. Pero yun lang din ma'am, ang pinag-clear ko that during that time I made representation with you, wala gid ko ka-expect na ang napangitan nila is approved organizational structure by virtue of an ordinance. After na yan, nandito ko na naman na. Kaya it's lang sa iya.
Anyway, Mr. Chairman, if the other members have a question, and whoever is Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair.
Okoy first.
Mr. Chair, I hope the director is listening right now.
Yes.
I wish her or him, her presence with us today. Ilang years na ba si Director na sa Civil Services Director?
Hindi ko aware ma'am kung ilang years na siya. Pero clearly, middle of 2011 na siya provincial director na.
So in short, Mr. Chair, she's been with us for almost 8 years. So during the appointment of the city architect and the appointment of the development officer, based on the discussion before, it appears that the director, they have just a different stand on the same issue. And considering that the DPM circular, the memorandum was issued in 2012, which makes the organizational structure a prerequisite for the appointment of a department head. So I'm just thinking why bakit iba-iba yung stand, because you could have been more forthcoming. That's just thinking out loud, Mr. Chair. My concern really is no problem no kasi we really have to add some starting pattern on the city, especially that we are becoming a big city. Ang concern natin is really what we are going to create is yung mga priority positions, no? With respect to the siguro capability ng city natin na kaya silang bayaran, vis-a-vis na hindi rin natin siguro ma-disenfranchise yung other na mga priorities in our city, especially delivery of basic services. Now, my other question is with respect to Sir Eric Patilaran. What will happen to his appointment? Will he be receiving salary of his prior position since he is not yet duly appointed or duly approved by the civil service? Or the position for which he is appointed by the SANGGUNIANG, will he be receiving that salary? So that's my query, Mr. Chair.
Yes ma'am, he is still receiving his salary kasi pending approval pa man ng civil service, wala pa man nagbalik sa atin. So, Sir Eric Patilaran is still entitled to receive such salaries as the city government department.
Okay, Mr. Chair. Another is, in terms of director, aware ba siya sa different positions niya before?
It is ma'am.
Na before wala, hindi mo naman, okay lang na wala ang question mo kasi what made the change? Bakit ngayon kailangan na ng organizational structure? When in fact before, hindi man nila kinailangan. Ano ba yung nag-move? Ano ba? Meron bang another memorandum, another circular na kailangan ganun talaga? That's the question.
So I cannot answer it outright limang kung what was really the situations why she was asking for the approved organizational structure by virtue of an ordinance. So gira lang kami, wala nang intindihan ni director ng civil service. Kasi when she was asking for the organizational structure, I said yes, there is. Pero yung pagsahampan niya lang it must be approved by virtue of an ordinance. Daw dito na ako, I was not really expecting akong galingan dapat. Daw dira lang kami hindi ni director. However, when I presented the director, after that, she still extend her willingness to help us.
Rejoinder, Mr. Chair.
Any other Councilor Okoy? Next would be Councilor Melody Guzman.
Rejoinder, Mr. Chair.
Rejoinder from Hurtado.
I'm confused. You made mention that the appointment of Mr. Batelara is pending. I would like to go back to the question of the honorable office. Is it one of the functions mandated under civil service to deny appointment?
Actually, ma'am, based on the appointments that we always receive, the action always of the civil service is to approve and disapprove. Ako lang makita namin.
So on this level,
So,
it was not disapproved.
no, it was not disapproved. Rin siya dito pa sa office ng civil service. Kasi may gina-require pa si director sa office na to comply, and that is one.
So,
Eh, wala siya no, it was not even disapproved. Wala, nag-disapprove ang appointment kasi pending lang. Pending lang.
follow-up question, I am quite confused because your office, HRMO, took the liberty of submitting a proposed position chart to the civil service when in fact this did not pass through. This was not approved of the Sangguniang. In doing so, I feel as part of this August body that I am being surpassed. My function to come up with a chart or structure was surpassed. So I have to put that on record, Mr. Chairman. And it's also good that Ma'am Hazel admitted that now that she knows, ngayon niya lang nalaman na yung mga ganito pala dapat dumaan pa sa Sangguniang. Because if we do that, overlapping the supposed function, magkakaroon tayo ng discord. So, another question is, klaruhin na lang on the record, Mr. Chair. What is being asked from us is an approved structure by virtue of an ordinance. It does not say what specific structure. It means on the record, Mr. Chair, that this August body may come up a structure of our own, which we deem fit in order for this office to start functioning. Am I right?
Actually, ma'am, my guidelines in civil service about that, I go with you na it's up for us kung what kind of structure we want to create. Because may provision daw si civil service na if we are creating for a structure, dapat it must also be based on our felt need. Felt need.
And who discusses and identifies the felt need?
Kita man, ma'am. Kasi ang MC 19 series of 1991 na issue ni civil service, nakabutang dito, ma'am, na ang department is ang highest structural unit. And then ang department must have at least mayroon siyang 4 na division, and the division must have at least 2 sections, and the section must have at least 3 personnel. Pero hindi man tama ka, hindi na iyangan sundot na lang because may mga limitations man kita.
Well, it depends on how this August body will approve.
I do agree with you, ma'am. And the fact that we also have some limitations to include na hindi siya mag-exceed sa budgetary requirements. Pero ma'am, I hope you won't mind, but I would also like to inform everybody that I'm so sorry if I was able to bypass kita, but it was not really my intention for this August body. It's just that, honestly speaking, I am not really expecting that I have to submit the organizational structure duly approved by the members of the August body. This is the first time.
Mr. Chairman, this is one of the reasons why question hours are required by the August body to extract information, both from us and also to the resource person to learn something new. We learn from the resource person and at the same time, vice versa. So I would reserve further questions, Mr. Chair, to other members of this August body.
But those councilors are still up there.
Chair,
Yes.
I got this question. Maminzel. Yes. Maminzel, how many years have you been working at HR as the department head? HR head. When was your appointment?
2010.
2010. So today,
2011.
do we have all organizational structures that are starting under this?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever cross your mind that to plan for restructuring.
Yes, ma'am.
10 years ago already. We've been wasting time. So, alam mo nga minsan, yung sinabi mo na hindi mo alam yung ano sa restructuring. Di ba sabi nga, the rest of the law excuses no one. So you've been working for how many years as picture head? So you should know what are the rules of the government, especially as the HR head. You know, as a chairman of civil service, until now, I don't have the existing organizational chart, structure of LGU, the Koronadal. That's why I asked you, I've been asking you for how many times naawala kita sa organizational chart. Ano ang hinihimulan nila noon? I mean, for your, hindi sa ako, for the past years, naging HR ka for 10 years, regardless kung sino ang administration. Now, subukan plano. Why now? And that dapat, and also, in addition to that, as mentioned by Honorable Breeze, that before we will approve the new positions or creations, we should have approved organizational structure. So, ang wala na ang ako niya, dugo-ori sa mind ko nga, nakasubong lang kita nag-restruct, na kailangan mag-restructure sila. Nakaasa, for the past 10 years, wala akong ginuguri na mga na ako makita sa mga empleyado nga pwede na ito ibutan sa position. And there's a lot of existing employees here. They're working for how many years here? 10 years. And didn't even receive any promotions. You got my point, Ma'am Hazel? Oh, sorry, this is my normal voice.
Next to on the process, I would like also to inform that yes, in every organizational unit, there must always be an organizational structure. I am aware that there is an organizational structure, basic, within the organization. What I am not expecting, binabalik ko pirmiga, approved it siya by virtue of an ordinance. So that's a lesson learned. So, tama. Now, as to why are we only pushing the iba naman siya for the restructuring? Because we've been proposing this. Siyempre, ma'am, we cannot also question, I believe, the priority directions and the need of whoever is our head of the office. It's not within our hands. But as to proposing for a restructuring, we've done this, ma'am. I-propose na natin. Hindi na ko naman normal ng priorities kita. Ang ato na office, kaya hindi siya na hatagan kitsang pansin. That's how I look at it. Comparing to the bureaucracy of the mga city government sa Koronadal.
Yeah, I guess, I understand the reason, but I believe it's your initiative. If you really want to submit proposal to the executive, like previous administration, and that is our presiding officer or the Peter Miguel, if you have proposal for restructuring of our organizational chart, yes, there's no problem with that. Kasi kung isipon mo ang as executive, dapat yung trabaho. So if you will wait for the executive para mag-initiate siya, I don't think so. Nabayaan pa siya tayo para dala. You are the head of the HR department. You are the one who can plan, who can make an initiative on how to create, to restructure a perfect organization, not perfect, it's ideal organizational structure for the city of Koronadal. But anyway, I hope we can make a better organizational structure for the city of Koronadal. So before that, we need to get approved before we will create a new position as well.
Actually, ma'am, we already have submitted our proposal for our restructuring sa office SANGGUNIANG. So that is why if you can still recall, I even made proper representation with you if we can already apprise you about our effort on the restructuring. So, nasa tinimang ko ng pasabihin natin.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Chair.
I'm yielding.
Honorable
Mr. Chair.
Good
afternoon, ma'am. Because you made mention earlier that you were able to see the civil service, ma'am, Anthony. Yes. Yes. What is unique with this new office that it cannot be treated in the same way as previous appointments, like sa mga koronadal, sa aton cooperative? So, anong unique na case sa Mr. Batilaran? Hindi natin pwedeng i-treat the same way sa previous. So, what happened sa subong pending approval? Atong mga previous natin, wala man sa structural pero approved. So, you mean to say atong mga previous natin, okay lang to, sige lang ako siya. Kasi this one, hindi pending approval. So, that is the question of the Councilor Kuboy naman ako. So, ano na ako? Kailan na yun nila decision? Ano tayo make some case? Di ba sa Batilaran? Hindi natin i-treat the same way. Diba? Because personally, you were able to see Ma'am Anthony. So, when I talked to her about the mga previous status na mga appointment, were you able to talk about that matter?
Based on the previous appointment, ma'am, we were not creating an office. Mga positions na to, ma'am, pero hindi sila mga head of office. Instead, sa case na gin-appoint natin, we are creating the City Tourism Office department ang i-create natin. That is why the director is asking me kung may aral kita organization. So, sa previous na yan, ma'am, mga lower kaya nga mga position, it's not a department. Kaya yun, ma'am, may existing na to siya nga daan na structure. Tama na siya.
Ang architect's office ba is not a department?
Department na siya, ma'am. That is why I was
Not created just
around 1999.
ang office.
We do not have OBO right now, ma'am. We are proposing for the creation of OBO, ma'am. Wala pa tasang office of the building official, ma'am. Ang architect yan, department na siya, pero I think mga 930, mga late 1990s ata siya na-create. During that time, daw, wala makita na po as HR.
Mr. Chair, if I may, Mr. Chair,
Especially,
the unique situation is this, no? If I may give information, Mr. Chair. May mga positions amin and departments that is a mandatory position to province, cities, and municipalities. Ang may arang mandatory position, may arang man sa optional departments para sa city kag sa province. Atong architect cooperative kag iba't pa, those are actually either mandatory or optional departments para sa isang city. Ang unique sini is hindi siya mandatory, hindi man siya optional. That is why tama si Director Anthony, importante ipakita tayo ang structure that will support and justify the creation of a department. That is actually the difference. Unlike sa itong na-create kita sa city architect, arabi siya sa department kaya na kailangan para sa isang city. So it will not be difficult for the civil service to act. Now in this case, hindi siya mandatory, hindi siya optional. Diba? Nakita lang sa LGU na need natin. That's why we have to justify, support it with what? Organizational structure. Ang problema is dapat ang organizational structure should have been passed to the Sangguniang PANLUngsod, not only the City Tourism Office, but all the other organizational structure nga ginabulag na sa HR natin. Ang pagkaintindi ko, last year pa may aral na kang organizational structure, but you are not actually endorsing it to the Sangguniang PANLUngsod for approval. What you have endorsed for the record is the creation of new positions. Now, in the same manner na, kung may aral pala kita sa plano sa atong nalipod sa City Hall, may aral kita ginatawag na site development plan or master plan at the back of the city hall. We have to approve first the plan or master plan before we can actually appropriate funds for specific projects. Kaya ko to ang atong blueprint, ang atong basis natin why we are going to put funds para there is a portion kanina itong develop because we have already a blueprint. In this case, kailangan sa organizational structure and staffing pattern which should pass through the SANGGUNIANG PANLUNGSOD for approval before we can discuss the positions to be created. Naulang na ako na position, Ma'am Hazel, no? Now, siguro, sa nakapal ni Councilor Hurtado Pagayna, hindi man necessary nga inyong na-prepare na organizational structure ang maaprubahan. That will really depend now on the appreciation sa SANGGUNIANG PANLUNGSOD. And when we approve the organizational structure, it doesn't mean that the position therein are already created. There should be an enabling law again to create that position. So I hope that is clear, Mr. Chair. I have no further questions, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair. Honorable Giri. Before kita mag-create ng isang department head o position, sino ba recommend, who is the one recommending it to the local chief executive?
Based on my understanding, the local chief executive will have to request for the SANGGUNIANG Panlungsod that said position must be created. However, sa pamiyang alantaw, nakabutawan namin kira sa local government code that the SANGGUNIANG also have the power to create position. So, ang kadala na siya sa local code na natin. So, muna na iyan kung pagkaintindi ko man. Pero, muna siya vice versa siguro, sir. The executive can request and at the same time, the SANGGUNIANG can also create as vested man sa local government.
Mr. Chair, may I know who isa ka ng kasama sa mga members who is on let's say, nag-move to write this position?
Mr. Chairman, if I may answer. The offer to create the said position in the department is no less than yours truly, Councilor JunetteHurtado, Councilor Edwin Abris, and Councilor Antonio.
Thank you, Mr. Now, I mean, usapan nila, no, ng mga members dito. Ang SR, kasi pasa naman yung mga ordinance sa inyo. Now, mga klase nito, why, may one sa comment about the position. Now, na 3 steps kita, no, nga nag-advance kita sa pag-point kay Mr. Batilaran. And if you tell or brief the local chief executive for the appointment from this to 25, na why you shall inform minimal na brief
Actually, sir, duha na dirami ng pangayon ni Director Antonin sa January 5 na letter. Ang ganitong isa ang sa structure naton. Ang ikaduha, itong naglupat siya, sir, ba sa tatlong asset. Actually, i-classify na natin, sir, kasi based on sa aton nga plantilla, ang next in rank na salary grade sa 25, ang next sa yes, already 18. So, wala na sa masunod pa. At ikabuha, sir, loan applicant lang talaga si Mr. Batilaran. So, yun siya ang i-justify. Kahit ang isa pa din, sir, even the qualification of our appointee is at par with the minimum requirements that is being set forth. So, yun ang i-justify.
Mr. Chair. Yes, Honorable President. After clearing organization of the honorable member, what
will be the action for that particular concern, Mr. Chairman. Because as of now, the question of Mr. Elvin Patilara is status quo, Mr. Chairman. So Mr. Chairman.
I guess,
Yes, Honorable Chris.
it is the Sangguniang PANLUNGSOD who is going to resolve what we should do. We should not ask our resort person to do that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Kasi nakikita natin na siyempre, magano ng mga sitwasyon na setting no, sa mga posisyon na may mga misconception kita. Same thing sa nagkabukman. Okay lang itong kaya Ma'am Yuri tabihin ko. Ano ka kung gilapon sa problema? So siguro, pwede sa point in time, siguro parang may panahon dapat yan ang ginaton. Talan yung mga dapat ayos. Kahit hindi naman kasi reasons there. So dapat maayos natin tanda-tanda pag-abot na sa issue sa mga posisyon ng City of Koronadal. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Honorable Dedeles.
I just want to be clarified regarding the mention about the 30 days from the time na to accept na appointment na isang kalubo. O anong date natin na buwag sa civil service? December 32. 21. So, January 21, so natapos na yung 30 days. So, dapat ba within 30 days, may decision yung civil service?
Sorry, sir, but I am not in the position to answer the question because that now lies on the wisdom of the civil service as to the status of our.
But you mentioned, ma'am, that within 30 days,
Yes,
the civil service should give their decision whether it's approved or disapprove yung appointment.
Sa atong sir na within 30 days, dapat masubmit na siya natin sa civil
So,
service.
from the civil service,
From the civil service,
Wala
hindi na ako fully aware kung ano man ang kailangan.
walang time frame sila.
May time frame man sila, sir, pero hindi naman ako certain kung ano man ang ilan. Basta sa level daw, within 30 days, dapat makasubmit kita sa appointment sale na hindi na facilitate the process.
So right now, the status is pending.
Oh,
Pending for proper action of the civil service. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The chair would like to ask the questions to
Madam Hazel.
Sa grade Z2, may approved structure without the bill ordinance.
Sino?
Sa grade officer ang sito, in-hearing na nadaan ang mga officers na dapat sa iyan dahil ang mga officers na income generating officers to include ang slaughterhouse, ang secondary, ang market, so automatic na nag-under na siya mga branches sa
Pero still, bago siya ma-office, no?
Sir,
Still, ang sino is a new office.
yes sir, yung office na siya. So requirements na natin.
So, if we go with the reasoning in line of as a requirement from the civil service, di ba nga dapat dirigin pa ngayon nagkakon sa approved ordinances to the structure of the office itself since it's a new office?
Kung existing na yan, sir, wala na talaga buwan na i-pass through an ordinance ang sa structure.
Sino nagsabi niya na existing na siya because it's a new office?
Ang yung office, sir, ang SIDO, pero ang iyang structure, built-in, sir, na all economic enterprise na to include, must be under na siya sa ating na SIDO, na nakabutan na siya sa not mistaken sa ordinance na or sa resolution. Hindi ako particular na, sir.
If we are going to be consistent with the law, even the CEDO office should have a structure as an ordinance.
What you're saying right now is just your opinion. Can you present to us the law or the one exempt this kind of office as a CEDO from providing a structure?
Under the structure of the CEDO, sir, from amongst the mga divisions, we have the operation of the market, operations ng terminal, operations ng atong slaughterhouse, operations ng atong cemetery. So, ina siya na mention ko, it's also included sa atong na plantilla of personnel. So, pag-rate sa CEDO automatic, amo na iya ang structure man, sir.
If we are going to recall, the problem right now lies on this circular. It states that there is a need of an ordinance that would present an approved ordinance that would show an organizational structure. So to me, it doesn't exempt any office. So that whenever you create new one, whether there is an inherent people there or inherent subsection there, but from the eyes of the law, CEDO is a new office. So precisely with that, there should be also an approved ordinance saying that. So why it wasn't asked during the creation of CEDO? Why was CSC did not ask an approved ordinance as a requirement for the new office?
Much as I would like to answer, but I cannot put words into the civil service commission, sir, why they also approve our CEDO. Because again, sir, personally and based on sa naman pagpapay na the CEDO is an office pero existing na iya ang mga divisions pag-aragin siya man sa Africa to include kung ang bago kayo na all economic enterprise.
Ano yung kasi pinakaportable na yun? If we're going to
It was also approved ang
Ma'am Teresita Antolin specifically cited that the guidelines and standards establishment of organizational structure staffing pattern in local government unit as prescribed to the Memorandum Circular number 19 series of 1992. New offices may be established in accordance to that memorandum. It shows that there should be establishment of organizational structure and staffing pattern also. So it doesn't exempt any office, all of it is new. That's why kalipag ang ulo ko, makakaroon niya sa case Mr. Lloyd Batilaran, palitaan sa bagong pikil. Kung may hindi siya ang problema. A personal question to you, Ma'am Hazel. Gusto mo ba si Sir Lloyd Batilaran as our tourism officer?
as a person, yes.
Gusto mo ba siya as to head our tourism office?
Yes.
Okay, and also, I just would like to know kung nag-usap kayo ni Ma'am Teresita Antolin. No, was there a moment you spoke with each other?
When I made proper representation to our officer, yun lang ang napag-usapan namin ni Ma'am.
So it was all a verbal communication.
She was just asking me as to the structure. Yun lang din, sir.
It was a verbal
Yes, sir.
communication.
Verbal lang, sir. Na-manifest lang sa letter niya dated January 5.
Your representation did not, you did not give a letter, formal letter from your office as HRMO.
I did not, sir, because
So,
no letter was sent to
chika-chika na
our.
kayo doon, then she gave you a response.
I only answered her letter, sir.
Because everything
when-
should be in paper. how can we be assured as people of Koronadal that you really represented us? Do you have any evidence that you really pursue for the benefit for the interest of the city, like for the interest of our tourism office? Do you have any proof of recording of your conversation?
When I went to the office of the civil service to submit the appointment of Mr. Edric Pagila dated December 21. So I just submit the appointment to the office of the civil service, and then December 28, yun na ang letter niya which we received January 15. Ang moment to ang pag-expand namon sa letter niya officially that she is asking for the said requirement I mentioned earlier. So that was official communication.
Yeah, but you said it's all verbal. What we'd like to know is how did you represent the city? Because if it is verbal, we wonder why all of a sudden there is a justification on whatever stand without any formal representation from your office. So, parang di ka ma-avoid ng masuspitsyahan na istorya lang ang motor yan, tapos bigla lang ang motor na pagwari sa istorya yung ating di pwede doon, nakita may botos ka rin. Wala mo muna ang kagwa sini. The implication of all of this is that for so many years, wala pa some question about it. In fact, this law being cited is already issued how many years ago? 1992. How come bigla lang ngayon? That's why next time around, if you're going to represent the city to the Civil Service Commission to avoid any suspicions or to make sure that the people are well represented, it should be in a proper way, and that is through writing. Kasi ang dami ng bishops, dami na nangyari sa city na perme lang matupad sa punta. I'm sorry, hindi ko nakita. It's dami na from Mr. was cited by Councilor Presga to other nangyari natin sa mga appointment natin before. Dami-dami nating mga na-miss na mga appointees before. Because tanan verbal, and it would seem chika-chika lang doon. So this time around, maybe the moment you represent the city, can you assure us that you have to do it in writing so that we can see transparency and we can see accountability? Pwede po ba yun, ma'am, sa sunod? Mag-visit mo doon and representing the city. Huwag na lang po ng verbal kasi look at this. No matter how you look at this, it's either you who is at fault or the director of the civil service. But we don't want to point fingers right now. We want to have a corrective measures out of this bishop. I call this a bishop. Matinding pagkakamali. So the first thing that I would like to ask an assurance from you is that whenever you communicate with the civil service director, or whenever you represent the city, in whatever forum, see the spirit of transparency and accountability, can you assure us that it would be through proper channel, proper way, and that is through a formal letter at the very least?
The suggestion is well taken, but let me also inform that every time we have our documents that are being submitted to the civil service, we always have a transmittal for that, and it's being received by the civil service.
We know that. It's a formal process. When you're transmitting documents, it will be received in office. But what I'm saying is that whenever you represent the city, huwag naman po sana verbal na lang dahil nakagulat. Nadatang kami ng isang sulat na hindi man lang kami alam kung ano saan kami nagkamali. So again, That's our request for only, it's for the benefit of our city. And every time we do this, just put it in writing. Thank you so much.
Mr. Chair. One
Yes,
question.
Honorable Kabilo.
I just would like to ask, Ma'am Hazel. Ma'am Hazel, the two documents will be submitted, so magiging okay na yung appointment, Mr. Eric. To my level, I would say yes. And even Ma'am Hazel, I heard a while ago that you said na you asked for an extension to Director Antolin. Since medyo need din natin ng time for the approval of the said ordinance regarding the organizational structure, I just would like to ask if ilang days yung pwede i-extend ni Director Antolin. Madam, I cannot speak in behalf of the director, but she just assured us that she's willing to help us.
If ever next, for mga 30 days, pwede pa rin ba?
No idea. No, I cannot really answer.
Okay. But, Ma'am Hazel, ready na rin po ba yung letter of justification?
Actually, we already submitted the
Nasabit na.
We already submitted.
Okay, so ito na lang yung the ordinance. And siguro Ma'am Hazel, pwede rin kami ma-inform if ilang days yung ma-inform yung sanggunian if ilang days yung kaya ibigay na extension ni Director Antolin para po maka-act kami regarding this matter.
Pardon, ma'am.
Pwede po ma-inform din po if makausap niyo po si Director if ilang days or ilang weeks yung pwede niya mabigay na extension para at least maka-act din ng ang sanggunian regarding this matter, Ma'am Chair.
Well noted, Council.
Thank you, thank you.
Mr. Chair, we have, we have already, I think we are done with Hazel Libana. The chair already asked the questions. Normally the chair is the last person, the question. Anyway, I move, Mr. Chair, that we excuse Hazel Libana so that the Sangguniang can proceed with whatever we see fit. I said,
Any objection? There having none, motion is approved. We would like to thank our resource person for shedding light on this, and we would like also to thank the councilors for also giving their piece of ideas and suggestions of this.
Mr. Chair, I hope that the issue of the appointment of Mr. Elvin Patilara be referred to the committee of the whole in today's session.
Any objection? There having none, the appointment of Sir Elric Batilaran is now under the committee of the whole.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ma'am Hazel Libana. Mr. Chair, we still have one topic for a question hour, and that is the presentation of the route plan. And we still actually suspend our rules. So I hope that we allow our guests in the presentation of our route plan occupy.
Those who would like to present for the route plan, can you step forward and occupy the front seats?
I think
I don't have the list of names here being.
Ma'am Agnes Kaguro and company, probably Mr. Chair, may we request your group to please occupy your table and chair.
Isa pa kami. Medyo so, pasensya na. Pag-uusapan namin sunod yung route plan for the city of Koronadal, but I would like to have it live, kaya lang medyo naghihikaos na ako sa battery. So, until next time.